And there is a fine line between tragedy and comedy. For example, how often have you seen years ago the old-fashioned scene of the man walking toward the open manhole cover? And of course he has to wear a top hat, because that's dignity, you see. That's the symbol of dignity. And you watch him and he walks, he's reading a paper, has missed it, and suddenly disappears down the hole. And everybody roars with laughter. But supposing you took a second look and looked down the hole, his head is cut, he's bleeding.
Yeah.
And they send for an ambulance. His wife rushes to the hospital. Think how ashamed that audience is that they laughed in the first place. And yet they do. Slipping on a banana skin is very painful.
We have one weirdo who's still laughing.
So there's a streak of cruelty among everyone.
Sure. And you get yours out by making movies.
Well, it's not exactly cruelty. It's a kind of enjoyment in knowing that they'll enjoy themselves in that peculiar way at that time.
That's right. People will submit themselves to a good scare. And
oh, no question. I call it dipping their toe in the cold waters of fear.
I can't think of anyone who could say it better. What I was wondering earlier was what part you look forward to most when you're making a film. Is it the actual shooting of the film? Is it the writing?
No, not the shooting. The working it out and getting it all done and finished. Then the creative thing is done. Then I wish I hadn't got to go any further. I'd rather not make the film.
The having to go into the studio is not the fun part for you.
No, that's
seeing
not fun.
Seeing it work out.
No, because you've got to then start deal with the actors again.
Oh, it's those actors.
Yes, that necessary evil.
I know that you're pretty serious about that. In the interview Truffaut did with you, several times you look back on your films and you said, I just wasn't quite satisfied with her, or with so-and-so, with so-and-so. I wish I could have gotten him for the part. Have you heard from any of those people, or did they know when they were working for you that you weren't quite satisfied with them?
Well, they have to know when you say to them, that'll be all for today. And they go and see the film and find another man playing their part.
Yeah, I guess that would... I mean, some of the ones that stayed... Well, never mind. But there were some cases where now you could have gotten actors that wouldn't do it then. Was it Gary Cooper that you wanted for a part? And scary films were considered sort of third-rate in those days when you first started. I think it was Gary Cooper you wanted for one part.
Yes, I wanted for Foreign Correspondent, yes.
And later he said, I wish I had made that. But it was sort of beneath the dignity of certain big stars.
I don't think they could visualize what the film was going to be like, you see.
That's an incredible one in Foreign Correspondent. I think it's in Foreign Correspondent where you have a thing that you said you were surprised no one ever asked you how you did it or why technical people didn't, because it's impossible.
Yes, that was a scene where an airplane, a passenger, a clipper, you remember the clippers, was being shot at during the war and was diving toward the ocean. And we were in the cockpit with the pilot and co-pilot, and without any cuts at all, the plane dives right to the ocean, hits the water, and the water comes in from the ocean over the pilot and co-pilot, and possibly the camera, and not a soul questioned it.
How you did that in one continuous shot?
What happened to the camera crew or anything? Did they all drown and were never seen again? They just took it for granted.
Maybe knowing you, they thought they probably did. And
maybe, yes.
Perhaps when we come back from this message, you'll reveal how you did that. Mr. Hitchcock, you've kept us in suspense through 2 commercials. How did you manage to get a shot where the view inside the cockpit went all the way down to the ocean, into the ocean, and the water came in?
Very simple. You heard of rear projection.
Yeah, when they show the picture on the back of a screen.
Show the picture on the back and you play the scene in front of the screen. Well, I had a test pilot go out off Santa Monica and dive with a camera on the front of the plane toward the ocean and pull out at the last minute. Then I had 6 screens made, 8 feet wide, 6 feet high, built the cockpit, put the pilots in, and then the screen, made of rice paper. Behind the screen were 2 what we call dump tanks with chutes. These tanks are filled with 2,700 gallons of water each, and all I had to do was press a button. And as I looked at the screen, the moment we touched water, I pressed the button, and the water shot right through the screen, tore it to ribbons, and all the water came in over the pilots. That's very simple.
The screen that there you go. Get a hand for solving that problem. The screen that was being projected on of the ocean coming up then actually was the screen that burst and the water came out. And nobody
made of rice paper, you see?
That's
so
ingenious.
Water, 2 chutes came right at it.
You've done a lot of things like that, and they really, I think that would be part of the fun, would be solving those undoable problems.
Sure it was, yes.
Yeah. What, can you give away any secrets of your theory of scaring people? The psycho shower scene made many women afraid to take a shower in a house where they were alone for years, some to this day.
Well, I had a letter from a man who said that my daughter, after she saw the French film Diabolique, would never take a tub anymore because they had a scene with a man coming out of a tub and taking his eyes out, some horror scene.
Yeah.
He said, and after seeing that, she'd never take a tub. Now, having seen Psycho, she won't take a shower. As a result, she's very unpleasant to be around. So I replied, I said, dear sir, send her to the dry cleaners.
I was wondering what your theory is of how to make a scene as scary as you did that. Without getting too technical, but a lot of film students are watching, because there are a lot of them around the country and colleges. The average movie, I think I've read, is made up of about 600 separate shots. Would that be true?
Well, the shower scene in Psycho, the knife never touched the body at all. It was just this fast cutting from one thing to another, the knife coming at the camera and so forth. Actually, the property people at the studio made me a lovely torso with pink rubber, and it was all tubed inside with blood. So that if you took a knife and stabbed this rubber torso, blood would spurt out immediately. But I never used it. It was all unnecessary because the cutting of the knife and the girl's face and the feet and everything was so rapid that there were 78 separate pieces of film in 45 seconds.
So the fear came from the putting together
yes,
later,
sure.
not anything
well, anything that you can involve an audience so close is much better than seeing it from a distance. I think there's nothing more boring than a barroom brawl in a Western. What do? Break up a lot of furniture and a lot of bottles on the shelf.
Right.
But if you took the audience right in and got an impression of a face, a hand, an arm, and feet and everything, you'd involve the audience much closer with it.